What you allow can move. What you resist stays. Settle now into a comfortable position, allowing the body to be supported, knowing there is nothing you need to achieve in this moment. Nothing to fix, nothing to change, just a gentle invitation to notice that you are here, breathing, present. As you listen, you don't need to try to relax. Relaxation happens naturally when effort softens. And even if there is tension, that is welcome too. Everything is allowed here. Begin by noticing the simple rhythm of your breath, not controlling it, not deepening it, just noticing the breath as it is, in and out, like a quiet tide moving through you. With each breath, you may begin to sense that this moment does not require resistance. It does not require pushing away what is present. It only asks for your permission to let things be exactly as they are. Many of us learned, often very early, that certain feelings were too much, too intense, too uncomfortable, too dangerous. And so the body learned a habit of tightening, bracing, holding. Not because something was wrong with you, but because your system was trying to protect you. Resistance was a form of intelligence, a survival strategy. And now, gently, you are beginning to outgrow the need for that strategy. As you sit here now, you may notice sensations in the body, perhaps heaviness, lightness, warmth, tightness, or maybe very little at all. Whatever you notice is perfect. There is no correct experience. Just notice how the body responds when you give it permission to feel without judgment. Imagine for a moment that emotions are like weather patterns moving through the body. Clouds, rain, wind, sunshine. None of them are permanent. None of them define the sky. The sky does not resist the storm. It does not argue with the rain. It simply allows it to pass. And you, at your core, are like that sky. Spacious, aware, capable of holding experience without becoming it. Now gently bring to mind a mild emotional state. Not the most intense thing you've ever felt, just something manageable. Perhaps a subtle sadness, a faint frustration, a quiet sense of longing. Notice where this feeling shows up in the body. Maybe it has a shape, a temperature, a movement, or maybe it's vague and undefined. You don't need to label it. You don't need to analyze it. Just notice it. And as you notice it, see if you can soften around it. Instead of tightening, see what happens if you allow a little more space. You're not inviting the feeling to grow. You're simply letting it exist without opposition, like opening a clenched fist, not forcing the hand open, just allowing it to relax. You may notice an instinct to manage the feeling, to make it go away, to distract, to fix. If that impulse arises, notice it too. Even resistance can be allowed. You are not doing this wrong. Awareness itself is enough. As you continue breathing, imagine the sensation you're noticing floating in a wide, open field of awareness. It doesn't need to move. It doesn't need to stay. It is free to do whatever it naturally does when it's no longer being pushed or pulled. Often, feelings soften when they are allowed. Sometimes they shift. Sometimes they dissolve. And sometimes they simply rest quietly until they're ready to move notice the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is a sensation or emotion. Suffering is what happens when we resist it, argue with it, or tell ourselves it shouldn't be here. In this moment, you are practicing ending the struggle, not by getting rid of feelings, but by no longer fighting them. You might gently say to yourself, silently, "This too is allowed," not as a mantra to force acceptance, but as a reminder that there is space here for everything you feel. Your system is learning that emotions are not emergencies. They are movements of energy. They arise, they peak, they fall away. If at any point the feeling intensifies, notice that you are still here, breathing, aware, intact. The presence that is noticing the feeling is not harmed by it. You are bigger than any single emotion, wider than any sensation, more stable than any thought. Now imagine that each emotion you've ever resisted has simply been waiting for permission to complete its natural cycle. Like a wave that wants to rise and fall. When you resist, it stays frozen. When you allow, it moves. Allowing is not weakness. It is not giving up. It is intelligence. It is cooperation with the body's natural healing rhythm. You may notice subtle shifts now, perhaps a release, a softening, a sigh, or simply a sense of neutrality. Whatever happens is fine. Healing is not dramatic most of the time. It is quiet, ordinary, gentle. Bring your attention now to the heart area, noticing the chest rising and falling with each breath. Imagine breathing space into this area, space for all the feelings that have been held here. Grief, love, fear, hope. None of them need to be sorted. They can coexist. The heart has room. You might imagine the heart as a warm, open container, strong enough to hold emotion, soft enough to allow movement. Each breath creates a little more ease, not because you're trying, but because resistance is no longer required. If thoughts arise like, "I shouldn't feel this way," or "this means something about me," notice those thoughts as well. They are just mental weather. They pass when they are not fed. You don't need to follow them. You don't need to argue with them. You can let them drift by like leaves on water. As you continue, notice the quiet intelligence of your body. It knows how to heal. It knows how to regulate. It knows how to release. Your job is not to force the process. Your job is to allow it, to stop interfering, to stop gripping. There is a deep relief in realizing that you don't have to manage your inner world so tightly. That emotions don't need supervision. That awareness itself is enough. When feelings are met with presence instead of resistance, they lose their urgency. They no longer need to shout. Take a moment now to sense the whole body at once, from the top of the head down to the feet. Notice how it feels compared to when you began. Maybe there is more space, maybe more contact, maybe nothing obvious at all. Trust that something subtle is shifting beneath conscious awareness. You are teaching your nervous system something new, that it is safe to feel, safe to allow, safe to let things move. This learning happens not through effort, but through repetition. Through moments like this, where nothing bad happens when you stop resisting. As this session continues to settle, allow yourself to rest in the awareness that you are not broken for having emotions. You are human. Feelings are part of the natural rhythm of being alive. They do not define you. They pass through you. And as you return gradually from this experience, carrying this understanding with you, know that every time you allow instead of resist, you are loosening old patterns. You are creating space for healing. You are teaching your system that it no longer needs to hold everything so tightly. You don't need to remember every word from this session. The body remembers what it needs. The nervous system learns through experience. And each time you practice allowing, what once felt stuck begins, in its own time, to move.